Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Ariyantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Ayaryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Ovajjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Savanam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktan Nityam Dayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. Namah Samai Saraya Swanubhutya Chakasate Chit Sabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Ananta Ananta Bhava Bedati Bareli Bari Ananta Ananta Naya Niksepe Vyakhani Sakala Jagata Hitakarini Harini Mohatarini Bhavabdi Moksacharini Pramani Upama apyani jane tamara kavite vyartha apavati nijamati mapai me mani che aho raja chandra bala khyala nathi pamata e jin swaratani vani jani tene jani che guru raj tani vani jani tene jani che. Om Namah Siddhevyo. Om Namah Siddhevyo. Om Sri Suddhatmane Namaha. Jai Jirendra. So,
Jai Jinendra.
so today is December 14, 2020, Monday, and we are continuing our class on Atmasiddhi Shastra. So on the Atmasiddhi Shastra, we have finished 7 stanzas. So today we are starting the 8th stanza. So let me bring the slides and then we'll start talking from there, okay? Okay, so in this Atmasiddhi, we are working on the Srimad Atmasiddhi, and we are on the stanza number 8. Up to 7 stanzas, first 2 stanzas were kind of introductory stanza, and stanza 3 to 7, it just gave us detailed analysis of the blind ritualist and one with a dry knowledgeable person. So that thing comes, and so now, so up in the stanza 7, it was saying that for self-realization, one has to have indifference to the worldly object and renunciation. One has to have tyag and vairagya. Indifference to the worldly object, tyag, and renunciation means indifference to the worldly object and renunciation, yeah. So renunciation is vairagya. So what it says, without them, without having the indifference and renunciation, without the indifference to the worldly object and renunciation, the self-realization not possible. So to have self-realization, this is the minimal, rock bottom, minimal requirement one has to have is indifference to the worldly object and renunciation. Tyag and vairagya, those things have to be present. But one who has forgotten the now, in these 2 bullets, the author means the Srimad Rajchandraji makes really weight on your prerequisite. But then he says, if you get bogged down in this prerequisite, you think that you have done the greatest of the great thing by doing renunciation and by having indifference to the worldly object, then also he says one cannot obtain self-realization. So to start with, in stanza 7, what do you say? To start with, you have to have eligibility in the form of indifference to the worldly object and renunciation. Once that is established, then you can go to this self-realization. But if I get stuck over here, if I think that I have done enough of my religious activity, etc., then I cannot further progress to self-realization. That was beautifully explained in stanza 7. So now, what it says, stanza 3 to 7, nature of the person with a strong altered opinion of reality. Matarthi means he has a strong altered opinion of the real. It has to be this way no matter what. And he's on the wrong path that way. He believes, for example, if you have to do the bodily act, that is only the reason that one can get a self-realization. Or somebody can come and insist on just reading the scripture only to get the self-realization. And they both are having the strong, altered, incomplete opinion, and they are called matarthi. It showed the nature of the blind ritualist and also one having dry knowledge. So this strong altered opinion regarding these two facts, it just, let me just bring my pen here. So it brings two factors. The blind ritualist, this number one, and one with the dry knowledge. So those two guys are the one by which they make strong opinion of either of the one rather than both the things. And that's why they are called matarthi. Over here, the nature of the discrimination present in the one who has benevolence for his eternal soul substance, Atmarthi. Now, in this stanza, what it says that we are going to talk about Atmarthi. We are going to talk about the one who is benevolent for his eternal soul substance. One who thinks that his best thing is residing in the eternal soul substance. That kind of a person is called Atmarthi. So in this stanza, it talks about Atmarthi mainly. So we are going to see the stanza first and then we'll just go next. Why it's not clear? So what it says over here, so this is absolutely simple, extreme simple Gujarati language that he wrote down this stanza, but there are extreme deep meaning to this stanza. જ્યાં જ્યાં જે જે યોગ્ય છે તહાં સમજવું તે means જ્યાં જ્યાં જે યોગ્ય, whatever is appropriate, you better understand that thing. Now, ત્યાં ત્યાં તે આચરે means once he understands what is the right thing, then he has the conduct accordingly, and that is called Atmarthi. So he gives the definition of Atmarthi over here. One who understands, and then he has the actions occurs. That's so simple, 2 lines about it. But it means it's lots of hidden deep meanings are there. Now, Srimadji, once he wrote down this Atmasiddhi, then what happened? That next day morning, or within a couple of days' time, his disciple, like on the picture when we see this yellow person with the yellow coat and a red turban, he is his disciple. And he makes the analysis of all the stanza. He also has a right faith, Samyak Darshan. And so he wrote down, and then Srimadji checked it out and she said, everything looks pretty good, very nice. So basically what the thing, next slide that I'm going to show you is what basically Srimad Ji has agreed as a meaning of such stanza. So what it says, meaning of the stanza over here, it says, characteristics of a person who has benevolence for his eternal soul substance, means Atmarthi, this is Atmarthi Jiv. What says, wherever the reality event, wherever the reality is, he understands it, this underlying word, and then proper conduct occurs towards it. So conduct, understanding and conduct, two things are being given really weight in this stanza. Okay, first what Srimad says, and then we'll come back to the stanza again. What he says, the one who has benevolence for his eternal soul substance, means Atmarthi, tries to understand the nature of reality where actually it belongs. Where is the reality? What's the nature of the reality? What's the real nature? What's the nitty-gritty things that one has to know about it? And that is the one that he's talking about. Then, where there is a discourses of renunciation, he accepts it. Now he starts talking that if these renunciation discourses are given at a time, he will accept it, because it just happens that there is a renunciation part one has to understand. Where there is discourse of self-realization, then the Atmarthi soul accepts that one also. So renunciation means the rituals, and self-realization is a knowledge. Rituals and knowledge, the Atmarthi Jiv will accept both the things. That means whatever is fit to his spirituality, he will accept its nature. If both are fitting to him, he will accept both. If one he is already contemplating and second one is not present within him, then he will work on it, and vice versa. So whatever is fit for his spirituality, he will accept its nature. These are characteristics of a person who has quest for eternal soul. This Atmarthi Jiv, this is the one who thinks that my eternal soul substance is only my savior. That's where I'm going to bring my faith. And these are the characteristics for such soul. One with a strong altered opinion, or one with a strong ego, cannot accept such right path. One with a strong altered opinion, he will just say, oh, renunciation only is an important thing, or reading the scripture is only important thing. He will have one-sided view only. That will be dangerous. That will be a strong altered opinion of a person, which is called matarthi. Or if he is a strong ego, he is not a simplicity, he is an ego, and on his ego, he just wants to behave whatever way he understands, whatever way he believes. He is not ready to accept something which is beyond his ego, which is going to hurt his ego. He doesn't accept that. One who believes in blind rituals or dry knowledge, he cannot understand such renunciation path or path to self-realization. So, blind ritualist or dry knowledgeable person, he does not understand. One with an altered opinion does not understand. One with a strong ego does not understand. Only Atmarthi, who has benevolence for his eternal soul substance, he understands and he accepts that. One who is having quest for the eternal soul substance, he understands the reality. One who has an eternal soul substance understanding, he accepts the reality. He accepts the knowledge and faith and then accepts the conduct. This is Srimad Ji writing. He says knowledge and faith. He says knowledge and faith. And then he says about conduct. Do you remember where these words are coming? Knowledge, faith, and conduct. When we say right faith, right knowledge, right conduct is a path to liberation. And that's what he is making meaning in this stanza. He said the knowledge and faith, that is the understanding, and conduct is another one. So those 2 points that Srimad said, so know about the knowledge, he has divided into faith and knowledge both. He differentiates the knowledge and conduct as separate entity. He understands the real meaning of the word understanding and conduct. This is the understanding in the original stanza. Understanding word comes and conduct word comes. Here, for example, this is the one that samajhu means understanding, and then acharan is a conduct. So understanding and conduct, those are the two things that we have to understand over here. So he is the real person who has benevolence for his eternal soul substance when he understands the nature of knowing and conduct. Only these two words are going to be described in the whole stanza. Whole class will be just concentrating on these two words only. This is what Srimad Ji wrote down about the meaning of the stanza. So now, the living being who has desire for obtaining self-realization means he understands the knowledge and conduct appropriately. Again, the same words are coming, knowledge and conduct. He understands the knowledge and conduct appropriately. Wherever there is need to understand the real nature of the soul, he knows about it. When there's a need for external rituals, he understands their nature and needs. So, this is when there is need for understanding, he understands and he accepts that. When there is a need for rituals, conduct, then he understands and he accepts that one. Blind ritualist has to understand the nature of the eternal soul substance. Blind ritualist who is there, he has not understood the nature of the soul substance. And on vice versa, the dry knowledgeable person has to understand the nature of external ritual. So here it says, if there is a person who has to desire for obtaining self-realization, if he's blind ritualist only, then he has to force himself to understand the knowledge aspect. Or he has a knowledge is there, but then his conduct is not appropriate. So he has to push himself for conduct related things. So over here, there is a big push given to knowledge and conduct. If you have the knowledge, then start with the conduct. If you are doing only conduct, only blind rituals, then you understand the knowledge. Rituals and knowledge, they go hand in hand, but we have never bothered to understand such things. We blindly do the rituals, but did we ever ask, why am I doing these rituals? If you're aware of it, that in the Digambar tradition, there's a Shanti Dhara. It's a very prominent place. It takes place. Shanti Dhara. Any auspicious occasion, you do Shanti Dhara. Similar in Swetambar tradition also, there is a Shanti part, and then they also have Shantidhara. Do we know why they have those things? And if you remember what happens in Shantidhara, that one person is standing with a kalash and he is pouring the water on the murti. Now, when I'm doing that, other person comes and fills my kalash. So my kalash has constant presence of water, and that water is going non-stop on the murti. If by chance, when you are doing that one, and if your flow stops for whatever reason, somebody, some elderly, some woman will come and say, it should not happen, it should not happen, be careful. But did we ever ask what is the meaning of this flow? Flow of water going non-stop to the Bhagwan's statue. Do we know why do we do that? Well, there's a story for that. From Pushpadanda Bhagwan to Dharmanath Bhagwan, from 9th to 15th Bhagwan. Each time Pushpadant gave the message, and after several hundreds of thousands of years, that message got lost. So by the time Shitalnath Bhagwan came, there was revitalization of the religion has to be performed. After Shitalnath Bhagwan, before Srinath Bhagwan, that scriptures also disappeared. Then came the Vasupujya Swami, same thing, Vimalnath, same thing, Anantnath, same thing, Dharmanath, same thing. So all those time, because literature was getting lost. And remember, the age of those Tirthankars, they were in a huge number of years, like 84,000 and one Purva, etc., etc. So very long age was there. Shantinath Bhagwan came. From Shantinath Bhagwan onward, Shantinath, Kuntunath, Arnath, Mallinath, Munisurat, Nami, Nemi, Pas, Vardhmana, all these Tirthankars, the knowledge remained constant. There was no break in the knowledge. There was no disappearance of the scriptures. Scriptures did remain non-stop since Shantinath. And after Mahavir Swami, all the scriptures are still intact till today. That's why when we do Shantidhara, because from Shantinath Bhagwan, the reign of religion of Jainism remained non-stop without any breakage. So when we do the Shantidhara, we don't want to have the dhara became broken. Now that the flow should not be broken, now that we know about it, next time you do Shantidhara, you'll be very careful not to break that flow. So now if I understand these rituals, I understand the knowledge aspect of the ritual, and now it becomes very important for me. Samayik we do 48 minutes only. Why 48 minutes? Well, Muni Maharaj, the enlightened monk, who is on 6th and 7th spiritual state. 7th spiritual state, he comes into his experiencing state. And 6th spiritual state, he goes back to he comes out of this experiencing state. And he comes out and he has a instability of increase of attachment and aversion, etc. Rag Dveshni asthirta no rag thai che. So this Muniraj, when he's in the 7th spiritual development state, if in that state if he remains for 48 minutes non-stop, if Muniraj in his internal experiencing state at 7 spiritual state, if he remains for 48 minutes non-stop, then he climbs the ascending ladder and he goes to 12 spiritual development state, from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 12 spiritual development state. And that's called Vitrakta, passionless state, complete purity of the soul. So to remain in that 48 minutes, Mahavir Swami, it took 12 and a half years of meditation. For Rishabdev, it took 1,000 years. For Malinath, it took only 3 days. So there is no fixed rules and regulation. But within that time, if Muniraj can stay in 48 minutes in his eternal soul and experiencing state, then he obtains Vitrakta. Similarly, when I do Samayik means to remain engrossed into my soul. So I am doing that kind of imitation. That what will happen when I'm becoming monk, can I remain in equanimity state for 48 minutes non-stop or not? So that's why I do Samayik for 48 minutes. Now that I know about it, it becomes very important that now whenever I'm ready to do it, at least I have idea why I'm doing it. So that's very important aspect of rituals and understanding. Srimad Rajchandra Vachanamrut Patrang 918, it says, one-sided view means ekant about either blind rituals or dry knowledge does not lead to self-realization. So one-sided view of rituals or dry knowledge does not give me self-realization. Again, here an important word came, one-sided view. What is one-sided view? Ekant. What is ekant? What's one-sided view? Means reality is multifaceted. For example, I am Kirit. I am somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's grandfather, somebody's grandson, somebody's brother, somebody's nephew, somebody's uncle. I'm a physician. I used to be a physician. I'm retired right now. I live in Phoenix and I'm Jain. I go to Jain, etc., etc., etc. My reality is multifold. But out of which you pick up only one. I'm father only. I have 3 kids and I'm the father of the 3 kids. There is nothing more than that. That's called one-sided view. Similarly, in the soul is eternal in nature, soul is transiency in nature. So to understand one-sided view, we have to understand multiplicity point of view first. Anekant, we have to understand. Anekant. 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 My writings are very bad. What is Anekant? First we understand Anekant, then we can understand Ekant. Anekant, multiplicity point of view. What is multiplicity point of view? There are definitions are given, but Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev in Samaysar, in the appendix of Samaysar, he gave a beautiful explanation of this multiplicity point of view. What he said there, that Anekant means, multiplicity point of view means in a given substance, at a given time, there are 2 opposite forces residing together. Once again, in a given substance, at a given time, 2 exactly opposite forces active. opposite forces working together. That's called anekant. This is a special definition from Jain perspective. We have to know this definition. We have to understand what is anekant. Generally, what we say, most of the time, people will say, anekant means this is something good, I got it from here, I got something good from here, I got something from good here, I went to church and I got something good, I went to mosque and that is not anekant. Anekant has to be in one substance, two exact opposite things residing. For example, soul has permanency and soul has transiency. So permanency is exact opposite transiency, and soul has both the thing residing together at a given time. Both forces working together means from the soul is a substance perspective, soul is eternal in nature. And the same soul from modal aspect is transient in nature. So eternity and transiency both are exactly opposite, but they reside together. This is called multiplicity point of view. There are other philosophies. The Vedant philosophy will say soul is eternal, period, case closed. There is nothing in the soul. That's a one-sided view. And that one-sided view telling that the soul is eternal only. According to Kunkunacharya Dev, it will call wrong faith, mithyatva. Because on the other side, the Buddhist philosophies, they say soul is transient only. Every समय new soul is generated and then dies, another soul generated and dies and everything. That is also not right. 10 number soul who already died 10 समय back, and that soul committed some crime. And when the result of the crime, the results of the punishment comes, I, as a 10th, as a new soul, ends up getting that punishment. What did the new soul do that he has to get a punishment? So, a one-sided view about reality of soul being only transient in nature, soul is only eternal in nature. Those are wrong assumptions. They are wrong because they are not giving any anekant multiplicity point of view. Only Jain philosophy is only the one, it has a multiplicity point of view. If you have been asked by anybody, you are Jain, yes, what do you believe in Jainism? Tell me in one sentence. It's called elevator speech. Tell me everything about Jainism within next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 seconds or 1 minute. Then you are going to say Jainism stands on three major solid pillars: anekant, aparigraha, and ahimsa, or non-violence, non-possessiveness, in multiplicity point of view. These three strongest pillar on which Jainism is standing, that is the definition of anekant that we have to understand why anekant is important. So one-sided view person, he's a blinded, and he just said only blind rituals are important, or other guy says dry knowledge is important. Both the things are absolutely important. So one has to keep that one in mind. One who is lounging for the self-realization, Srimadji put forward right knowledge and right conduct. Right conduct means samjan and acharan. He says right knowledge is important and right conduct is important. Now, if you are familiar with yourself, If you're familiar with the Tattvad Sutra that Umaswatiji Acharya wrote down, in which the very first chapter, very first slok, it says, Samyak Darshan Gnan Charitrani Moksha Margaha. So, Samyak Darshan Gnan Charitrani Moksha Margaha. If this sentence is an extremely loaded sentence. Actually, just if we start talking about this one alone, it may take 2-3 classes, maybe more classes, just to understand one sutra. The very first chapter, first sutra, it can take so many, because now you have to understand what is right faith. What's the characteristics of right faith? What's a telltale sign of right faith? What's a right knowledge? What's a right conduct? And all those three things in unity. In unity. You cannot have Samyak Darshan alone. You cannot have Samyak Gnan alone. You cannot have Samyak Charitra alone. You have to all three together. And then it becomes path to the liberation, Moksha Margaha. So, Srimadji over here says that Samjan and Acharan. He is using these two words. Samjan and Acharan means knowledge and conduct. And here it says Samyak Darshan Gnan Charitrani Moksha Margaha. Samyak Darshan, and let's say, I think it comes in. First and second bullet means the same thing explained in two different works. It means Srimadji says Samjan and Acharan. Then Acharya Umaswatiji says Samyak Darshan Gnan Charitrani Moksha Margaha. They both mean the same thing. Soul has unity of all 3 points of right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct, and that is called path to liberation. And over here, Srimadji says your Samjan and Acharan, your knowledge and conduct, they are the path to the liberation. Or one who is lounging for self-realization, he has to understand these two words very carefully, or this sutra very carefully. Then and then he or she can progress further. When we understand, when we are in the right path, right knowledge and right conduct, then such type of person is on the path to liberation, means on the moksha marg. I am in the wrong faith state. Once I get the right faith, experiencing of the soul substance, right faith, then my purity starts, and now the purity keeps on increasing gradually till it becomes completely pure soul. So soul starting with the purity till soul obtains complete purity, that state is called aspirant state. He's lounging for self-realization. He wants to get engrossed in the self-realized state and everything. And that is called path to liberation, moksha marga. So, Srimad is telling the reader that to be the path to liberation, one must understand the nature of the right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. Once I understand this real understanding, weight is given on understanding. If I understand, if I understand, if I end up knowing this glass of water has a poison inside, how long it takes me, how long my conduct has to come in this fear, how long that conduct has to come for me to throw away this glass from my desk. I just knew that there is presence of poison in this bottle. Instantaneously, you gave up the affection for that thing. Similarly, if I understand what's the nature of the soul. and what's my altered state. If I understand my altered state, I give up. I give them up right away, and that's called conduct. So understanding, understanding is the most important thing. Gurudev Kanji Swami talked for 45 years on the same subject, saying that one has to have right understanding to start with. If he doesn't understand, he doesn't know what to follow. If you don't have GPS, you don't know how to come to my place, or vice versa. I can't come to your place because I don't have GPS, I don't have directions. So directions are more important. Knowledge is more important. Once you get the directions through GPS, then your conduct is very easy. Going from point A to point B, you make it without problem. So that's why Simaji is making tremendous weight on right faith, right conduct, and right knowledge. Right knowledge and right faith, they are one side of two side of a coin. When there is a right faith, automatically knowledge becomes right knowledge. When there is right knowledge, automatically faith is a right faith. So they both are two sides of a coin. And then conduct occurs gradually, in which gradual improvement keeps on occurring. Whatever is appropriate, one must accept it. Whatever is appropriate, one must accept that nature of it. If the reality is such, then I have to understand first what's a reality, what's a soul made up of, what's the structure of the soul, what's the function of the soul, what's the characteristics of soul, how many attributes soul has it, and all those things I have to understand first. If I understand, then I can my conduct sets in right away. When there's a nature of reality discussed, when the nature of reality is discussed, one must know that it is regarding the eternal soul substance. The nature of reality means I'm talking about eternal soul substance and its characteristics. What's the soul made up of? What's a component of the soul? What about the attribute? How the attributes are residing into the soul? And what do the attributes do? Every moment attribute produces one mode, and those modes are coming forever, will come forever. They did come forever in the past. They will continue to do the same thing in the future. All those things to know, that's a eternal soul substance knowledge. Whenever the consideration is given, one must advise, whatever the consideration is in a given advice, one must know its nature. That advice, then we have to know the nature of that substance. When it's been said that one must put his personal effort to reduce rag and dvesh, means conduct, then one must understand that it's been said from convention point of view with the aim to the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality, the eternal soul substance, is an ultimate reality. And I want to get engrossed in that eternal soul substance. That's called absolute point of view. But since time infinite, I keep on doing rag and dvesh, rag and dvesh, rag and dvesh constantly forever and ever and ever in the past. When there is a constant rag and dvesh occurring, then there is no room for eternal soul substance to be perceived. But when my lounging is on the eternal soul substance, then automatically my rag and dvesh starts reducing. So lounging for the soul substance increasing, that's called absolute point of view. Absolute point of view. And at the same time, rag and dvesh are diminishing. That's called convention point of view. Eh, when the it's just like you have a dark room. How do you remove the darkness? Then you said, I'm going to look for a light. I said, how? I want to remove darkness. And you're looking for light. I said, darkness to remove. You said, don't worry, don't worry, don't go nuts. I'll take care of it. So you put the lights on. What happens when you put the lights on? Darkness automatically disappears. You don't have to remove the darkness. It just goes away. Similarly, if your reduction of rag dvesh convention point of, you don't have to do anything there as long as you have knowledge and you experience the soul substance, then automatically these guys become smaller, less important. So those are the things we have to understand very well about the nature of the rag and dvesh and nature of the eternal soul substance. Once I understand those things, then life becomes much, much easier. So what we'll do, we'll stop over here. If there's question, we can take questions. And if you have some suggestions or questions or whatever.
I think I am good, Kirit bhai.
Okay. All right. No problem. Yeah. Because see, this stanza is mainly only Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gnan, Samyak Charitra. But rather than using those heavy loaded words, he simple wrote simple Gujarati language that any small kid can see, recite that one without any tongue twisting or anything. So this is the characteristics of Srimadji, that he can present the fact in so simple language that he is avoiding major Sanskrit samyak darshan gnan charitrani hi moksmargaha. Instead of that, he just said, જ્યાં જે યોગ્ય છે તહાં સમજવું તે આશરે આત્માર્થી જન એ. So that is the greatness or absolute control of his language that he has it. So by knowing this thing, we just get better and better. I mean, more and more respect for this enlightened soul that he has given so much to us. And actually, all this Atmasiddhi and everything that was written, and it was remaining dormant. Very few people knew it. And then it came to the Gurudev Sri Kanchi Swami, and he gave lectures on Atmasiddhi during one Chaturmas in Rajkot, and thereafter Atmasiddhi became extremely popular. So thanks to Srimadji for writing, and thanks for Gurudev Sri to propagate it. So we are very fortunate we have both those things available. Okay, so we'll do the closing over here. जी स्वरूप समझा विना पाम्यो दुख अनंत समझाव्યું તે પદ નમો શ્રી સદગુરુ ભગવન પરમ પુરુષ પ્રભુ સદગુરુ પરમ જ્ઞાન સુખધામ જેણે આપ્યું ભાનની તેને સદા પ્રણામ देह छता जेनी दशा वर्ते देहाती ते ज्ञानी न चरण वंदन अगणी अज्ञानी न चरण वंदन अगणी. जय जिनेन्द्र.
Jai Jindra. Thank you, Kirit bhai.
Thank you. Bye.